Live from Washington, D.C., it's the Paydirt Football Show.
Are you trying to give me the double talk?
You talk too much.
And now, sit back and listen to 2 hours of biased, brainless blithering sure to drop your sports IQ by at least 20 points.
7 years of college down the drain.
Paydirt is on the air.
All right, welcome everyone to the PAFL radio show for the start of the new season. Season 11 it is, and I got Joe and I got Calvin here with me, and we're going to fill y'all in on the latest happenings in the PAFL. For those who aren't in the league that's watching this, this is the PAFL, which is an action PC football league, and you can find a link to that over at paydirtfootball.com. So I think, Calvin, I think we got an opening or two in the PSAFL, that summer league.
Yeah, we have at least one opening.
Right.
It's been a while since I've looked at it because we're dormant. I mean, we can't trade, can't do anything till after the rookie draft.
Yeah, so that starts around June.
There are people who try. Yeah, there are people who are trying.
There always is. So that's opening up, well, before June, but with pre-season stuff. But that opens in June for weekly games. The PAFL is running now as of January the 1st, and we're in the week one. So, Calvin, what you got to say?
Well, I'm the one that these broadcasts keep getting delayed. I'm kind of really busy these days, so I apologize for that.
It's all right. We're all busy. We're all busy.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. It happens. But I almost forgot about 8 o'clock tonight, honestly. But anyway, it's another year underway, and looks to be a pretty competitive year. I mean, at a glance, I haven't looked at it as much as Joe has, and I'm sure we'll go over his previews, but I kind of skimmed the rosters a bit, and I'm sure he's going to come out and say Chicago's this dominating team again, but I mean, there's no really give me games in the NFC East.
Right.
The Central's got a brutal schedule. The NFC Central plays the AFC East, so there's going to be quite a few losses, I think, in the Central.
Yeah.
So I'll just tee that up for Joe to counterpoint it, but.
Oh, yeah. I definitely think you've got the class team of the NFC. But that being said, as the great philosopher Bob Dylan once said, the times they are changing. Because I as I was sitting here going through this, every team has gotten better. Let me say this: all the weaker teams have gotten better, and I don't. Maybe you could say the Atlanta Falcons are at the are at the bottom of the NFC, but they're a lot. I mean, they got C.J. Stroud last year in the draft, so you can't. They're filling their holes. So I when I started going through there, I was thinking, damn, even Andy is better than what he was last year. And yeah, I picked him last, but it's not the same last as last year.
Right. Though he started off with a loss to New Orleans, so.
Should have ran a Derrick Henry 48 times instead of passing 48 times with Garoppolo. But that's my own personal opinion.
That's hindsight, right?
Hindsight 2020 and all.
So what I've got up here is the 2024 draft pick ownership. I'm just running that through the screen. Somebody wants to take a look at that. You can go to there's a link to it on the main page that you can go find that. Okay, so let's run through what did y'all have in mind for the show today?
Well, we can run through the predictions if you like. Briefly, I mean, I'm going to start with the way I wrote them down, actually, with the NFC East, and I've kind of go with the philosophy of the fact that if you're the defending champion and you've put in the time and you didn't pull it out by the hair of your chinny chin chin, you get the benefit of the doubt if it's at all close. And so I put the Eagles first. They still have Aaron Rodgers, but then again, Aaron Rodgers last year isn't the Aaron Rodgers everybody had before, and their defense just doesn't look quite as imposing as it has in the years past. And so it really wouldn't shock me if the Giants come in and pass them. And the only thing the Giants have going, against them is the fact that quarterback. But next year, Baker Mayfield's going to be a lot better Baker Mayfield than he is this year. So, and then go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was wondering if you were going to the next division yet.
Oh, I was going to say, and then I had you third, Len. Right there in the middle, you got. I'm trying to remember what I wrote down about you here. I had to go back and look.
It's on the screen.
Yeah, it's on the screen.
Oh, I know, but I'm half blind. But
so am I.
The one thing about it is I think your run defense is better than what it was last year. But that being said, I think your defense might be your Achilles.
It's not. It's not championship defense now.
Yeah. And then Carolina, and that I mean, to be honest with you, I'm thinking the Giants and the Carolina next year we might be talking about them at the top, because Carolina, they have Mahomes, and they don't have this year they don't have that much to go along with him, but next year they got Puka Nacua, and they drafted another main wide receiver, so they're going to be stacked with weapons offensively. So, and he's been acquiring some defensive players. And then finally, Andy, he's had a couple good drafts in a row, and these players are starting to come up, and he should be doing well.
Yeah, I think he thought he had too many quarterbacks, but I'm not sure he does.
I gave him the first overall pick. So,
and this coming up?
No, last year,
Okay.
And so he could have had Stroud, but he doesn't play for Washington.
So next up, what do we have next up here? This is we don't want the SC. We want to stick to the NFC for now. So let's
the Central.
Yeah.
Yeah. For some reason, when they got uploaded into the onto the website, they took their own order based upon.
Should have been based on time created. Time
it should have been, but
did you upload them in mass?
No, one at a time.
Wow.
But anyway, NFC Central, Calvin, I've got him top, and I mean, there's just no hole on his team. The only thing that you can even mark down is the fact Jalen Hurts doesn't have a lot of attempts. But then again, I don't know if necessarily Calvin's going to need to have Hurts throw the ball 40 times in a game. So he'll probably get by with that quite well. His number 2 corner. Yeah, Lattimore's not super high up there. But then again, with his pass rush, I don't see how guys are going to be sitting there leaning back and throwing deep. So he definitely he definitely will be in the playoffs. He probably is the favorite for top seed overall. And then the Packers, they actually have already played this week, and they're sneaky good. They're sneaky good, and I think that they're definitely a playoff team. Minnesota, Eric and I did a trade earlier where I gave him Goff, and he gave me a bunch of picks, and also I got Fred Warner out of it. So so I in the long haul, I think it's a good deal for me, but I don't think Russell Wilson is going to be the quarterback that Jared Goff is, and so he's got Matt Ryan 2.0. And then Detroit, they could very easily go back up there. Their corners, their ratings took a bit of a dive this year, so they're not quite as dominating on the defensive side. But they got a good draft coming too, and they're going to be good. And then Tampa Bay, of course, Brendan's doing a great job rebuilding that team. So I don't know. What are you thinking, Calvin?
Yeah, it's much tougher from top to bottom. Green Bay is much better. Minnesota is much better thanks to your trade. Giving him Goff instead of Matt Ryan. So Yeah, it's a good NFC Central.
So NFC West is up next.
And then again, following truth to form, I put the Rams up there at the top because again, they haven't lost the division in quite some time. So until they do, they get the benefit of the doubt. But that being said, Tom Brady, everybody seems to have this thing about like how, like the Bucks can't survive without Tom Brady, and Tom Brady this, Tom Brady that. Tom Brady was not that great last year. He was okay, but he was not the dominating force he had been in the past. So he's going to have to deal with that and some other players that are a little long in tooth. Um, I picked me second, but then again, after this last game I just had to against the Colts, I don't know if I've got that much faith in my procrastinating skills there.
Did you play?
Oh yeah, I look at the box score. It was I came back on a busted play last second and scored the touchdown that allowed me to win 21-20. So yeah, Russell Wilson's got some deficiencies. And then I have the Chargers third. Chargers wouldn't shock me if they climb. Definitely, they were the hottest team last year before getting into the. They barely missed the playoffs, and they should be up there. And like I said, the Falcons, they're the only what I would call really deficient team in the NFC this year. But next year, I think, watch out, they're gonna be right up there with everybody else. So
Yeah, I mean, I give Bill credit. He took over a terrible team willingly. But much like Brendan, he's rebuilding slowly.
well, like I said, the Main brothers are going to have to replace Aaron Rodgers for a season and at least a season, and then Tom Brady. So, and I know
No problem. They'll get Russell Wilson next year.
You got a rattle there in your mic, Joe. I don't know exactly what that is, but I don't know if they can hear it or not. But I mean, we're not broadcasting live; we're recording this. But just to let you know.
Okay.
I think it's probably in the microphone, or maybe the headset's rattling a little bit there, and the mic's just picking it up. Anyway, heads up.
Okay.
Next up is AFC East.
Number one, Jacksonville. Again, they're the defending champions, and they've got a really good team. And if you were to ask me to pick a prediction for Super Bowl just based on rosters, Jacksonville and Chicago. But then again, they've got like four teams in that conference that could all very easily put together a run for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Buffalo should be second, and I think Derek can challenge for that, and he was the second team that I think that he's just a little bit short, but boy, I'll tell you what, next year he's going to have Lamar Jackson on this year's Lamar Jackson, and that should be pretty fun to see.
And I'll correct you a bit. You meant to say Daryl, not Derek, but we know
Darryl,
it's a Daryl. We know what you
yeah.
meant.
Yeah, I picture it in my head. We're lucky I'm not doing this while I had my Bell's palsy syndrome there going. Otherwise, you would have thought I was I had a stroke. But third, Cleveland. They're D. They had such great D linemen last year. They're all just a little notch, not quite as good, and quarterback plays not quite as good, but they're definitely going to be contending for a playoff. Fourth, I put New Orleans. And I may be wrong here. I mean, because I was like sitting here, and it all depends on how if Robert. There was a period of time last year Robert wasn't very focused, and so if he's focused, he should finish fourth in the division. But Don has a way of pulling out good games. He's a lot. Oh, there's not anybody I've seen who's became a better coach over the last 2 or 3 years than Don has. So kudos to him, especially for like taking over that for Bob and substituting in the PSAFL, and he took Buffalo. He coached them in the playoffs, and they won. So that's why I gave New Orleans a little bit of a nudge, but their best days are ahead. And then Miami is in the same boat. They again, in the AFC, I feel very comfortable in saying the AFC has got some more teams with holes in them than does the NFC. And then in the Central, Bengals, that's the third of the Super Bowl contenders that I really think are going to be something to show, because Nino, if nothing else, Nino knows how to put together a team and knows how to coach them. So, he's got a good squad there. Bob Colts, I was hoping he was past his snake bitten days. I certainly hope that the rest of the season doesn't go like the end of that game went with me. But he's got a lot of the same quality on that team, just not up to the same level as what Cincinnati, and that's what kept him from. Remember, Cincinnati was the first team to clinch last year, so. And then Tennessee, this is the first year since I've been in the league. Usually it's Tennessee and Indianapolis. They're sitting there competing neck and neck, trying to see who's going to make the division. This year, I look at Tennessee and then I look at Pittsburgh, and I think those two teams are going to be battling to stay out of the basement. Pittsburgh, with all love and respect to Pete, I think it's Jason. He puts together he's putting that team together the right way. And I think Pittsburgh will be. If you look through the draft, they picked up some good picks. So they should be competing next year. And then finally in the West, Raiders are probably that fourth team. I would say is probably a Super Bowl contender on paper. My only issue with them, and I sat there and I said, is like they've got some guys that are sitting there at 9s and 10s that took up a lot of salary that I don't necessarily know if they're going to enhance that team. They could have probably, like, for instance, gotten a couple guards because the deficiency at guard might come back and bite them in a game. But other than that, they're top to bottom, especially on defense. They're top notch. The next three teams are pretty much I put them like on an even level. Denver, Rudy, he was one of the guys I recruited to come into the league, and I coached with him in several leagues. And the one deficiency that team had was on defense, and I can guarantee you when Rudy gets done building that team, it won't be a problem with defense, but it's going to take a while. And so he's got to worry about trying to build that defense without losing too much offense. San Francisco, that team is, they're just not quite the same as what they were the last couple of years, where they were that steady 500 team, maybe pull out an upset win or two and challenge for the division. They may be working hard to fight, because the division is a lot tougher. They may be having to fight a little bit harder to get to 500. And then Kansas City, Paul, better watch out for Paul next year, especially because if you look through that draft that he's had, as far as on defense was their Achilles, but they've got weapons on offense, and it wouldn't even shock me if they finished second in the division this year. And then Seattle, they're a little better, but they're not going to play any better record wise.
Yeah, and again, kudos to Paul and John. They took over garbage teams, and they're building them the right way. Len, can you open up Las Vegas?
Yep.
Because I think Las Vegas is a little better than Joe's giving him credit for.
I mean, like, for instance, this year they finally have a quarterback in Geno Smith. And like I said, I mean, they're spotted with a lot of 10s, but now go look at their offensive line. They're good, but their guards are are very mediocre. And all I'm saying is that they play a team with really good defensive tackles who get pressure up the middle. Gino's going to be running around like a chicken with his head cut off. And
look at showing their wide receivers, Lynn.
the wide receivers are.
Wow.
So you got to give up something. So I don't know. I don't think they're going to be struggle as much as you think. I don't think the 5 guards are going to matter.
I'll take their players.
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess yeah. I mean, and you know what? If they, and I think I said it in the article, is that if you turned around and instead of Minka Fitzpatrick, sitting there and being worth $7 million, let's say you had an 8 safety and he was worth 5. And you could have taken that money and thrown it into 2 guards that were 6s.
Who'd you pick to come in first?
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. And
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
if you tell me Las Vegas goes and wins the entire thing, it wouldn't be a shocker.
I mean,
I'm
they're
being
pretty
petty.
solid. I mean, they got 2 mediocre guards, but good grief, look at their defensive line and look at their linebackers and
Oh, yeah.
don't they have Parsons?
Do they?
Lynn, can you do like on
Oh yeah,
linebackers
they,
or
oh yeah,
defense?
oh yeah. They got Parsons
They
and
got Brown, they got Parsons, and so he could have traded a 6D line for the guard, but I don't know. I think Chris's team they were tough last year.
Oh, you
They're
know
gonna be
what?
tough again.
He's over the cap.
There's got to be something wrong though. It's got to be something with an inactive salary. Probably is wrong on this disc.
Okay.
I'd have to look at mine, but that's a common. If you find his one inactive player, yeah, that salary should be 1. Yeah, you just had it
Right
on the
there.
page.
There it
Something's
is.
wrong with that disc because all inactive players were changed to a salary of 1. So there's something not cooperating.
yeah.
on
Was
version.
that 350
Yeah,
on there?
bowl should
Okay,
be 1.
take 350.
$1.
Yeah. So if you take 350 off of that, because I remember he's been right up there near the cap the entire offseason.
Yeah, just physically go in there and make. Well, he'll be inactive all year, so just physically on the next file, just make that 0.
You can't.
Well, don't 0 messes up things, believe it or not. That's
Really?
why I made it 1.
Okay.
And on mine it's showing 1, I believe. Joe
Shows
would
3
have to check his disc.
Yeah, it shows 350 here.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure on others it's 1. But I could be wrong. I'm away from my game right now.
I'm on the basement computer. I just downloaded the file. Maybe I downloaded the wrong one. You're using the same link for the file every week, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. I think in the past that we have had some differences between people for whatever reason. Could be the difference in the version of the game.
Well, this is on an old version. Like I said, I'm in the basement in my office here.
Yeah, so
and I
that
don't,
could
I don't
be
play
it
it
too.
here. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
play it.
like I'm looking at my version right now, and it shows salary cap wise, Chicago's the closest to the cap, $14,000 shy of the 121, and Jacksonville 32, and then Vegas was third, 74.
Yeah, so this old version on this one, it's got like some issue. Yeah, so I think it's going to be good. I think Denver is good. Denver's got a lot of offense, and in this game, offense trumps defense very much. Depends.
Well, that's why I put them second. But like I said, though, I mean,
Well, this
when
isn't. Yeah, this is not reflecting properly here on my
No.
file
No,
because
you must go.
yeah, because Dallas is up to 120 because of a couple inflated free agents.
Yeah. So we'll take this with a grain
So,
of salt, but you got
yeah,
the right
right.
players at least. And who are the running backs? It seems like we're making this a Raider show, but I like the Raiders. Let's look at their running
Raiders.
backs.
Hmm?
Kind of mediocre.
Yeah,
But
they're going to be committee. That's
But
probably,
it
in my opinion, the
depends.
weakness with those weak guards, and then you've got the weak running backs here. So
yeah, it just depends.
yeah, I mean, and when and I don't mean to, because Chris is a great coach. I mean, look what he did with, Miles Davis, or not Miles.
Yes, Davis Mills.
Davis Mills. I mean, and in the season before that, I forgot who his quarterback was, but I mean, he's taken some pretty mediocre quarterbacks and taken them pretty far. So Chris knows how to coach, but my thing is like, yes, he's got some really good wide receivers to go with a decent quarterback, but I also know that for him to win, he's going to have to beat guys like you, Calvin, who's got a good secondary, and he's going to have to beat Jacksonville, and those are the teams where not being able, not to be able to run the ball because of guard play might affect him. Now that being said,
Can we look at Cincy real quick? I haven't looked at this for a while. I thought Cincinnati is pretty sneaky. I mean, they've got the 5-yard. They've got Jones, may not seem like much, but in action, your quarterback is not quite as important. And let's see, you got your running backs. He's got a power running back. I'm trying to think about his receptions, though.
Average.
He's got
a little above
2
average.
7s and a 6. But now look, with him, it was I thought his defense was very good. The only thing I sat there and I did ding him on that is the fact, like, for instance, he's got a great set of linebackers, but you can only play 2 or 3. I mean, in other words, you start spreading him out, you're going to be setting 7s and 8s and stuff. So that's a lot of money on the bench.
Well, some of those play defensive end. Can you sort on it by defensive column? There we go. So we got 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I mean,
4.
he could put Duggar and Phillips at safety, but then again, if he puts Duggar and Phillips at safety, then I mean,
yeah, it depends. But Smith, he can put at defensive end. Yeah, they're pretty sneaky.
Oh, I mean, and mind you, I think he's got a better team this year. And my God, go look at his draft. He's going to have the issue next year where he's going to have to cut good players just to be under the cap before he even starts.
Yeah, you got 2 of those linebackers that are 2 of his better defensive ends. Yeah. Then he's got Simmons. You can run as an end or a tackle. So, but I mean, yeah, it's a good team. Good team.
Yeah. So I mean, and plus also, like I said, Nino knows how to coach.
Little weak on the safeties, but
the salary cap, you should have a weakness somewhere. I mean, it just kind of the way it works.
Yep, that is.
Unless you back yourself with 6s and 7s throughout your whole roster, then it might work.
So we got about 5 minutes left because we want to leave a minute or 2 afterwards before this thing kills our conversation. What did you need to cover? Any new rules or anything like that?
Nothing that really affects us. The one thing that was voted in is if you can now cut any signed free agent.
Right.
You're free to cut those, except you still own their salary.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't get any relief. You cut this guy that you signed for $500,000. You can cut him now, or before you couldn't. But whoever you sign, it's going to be their salary plus $500,000 added.
Yeah.
You don't get any cap relief. So it accomplishes the same goal, I think.
Yep. Okay. Good rule.
I've talked a little bit to Atlanta about that recently. Atlanta might be making some cuts. And it was kind of interesting that Sean pinged me on Slack. I got it this morning about subbing for Philadelphia. But then when you look at the website, I swear there's a game up there, Philadelphia and Jacksonville, unless I looked wrong.
Yeah.
So that was kind of puzzling. Maybe he played it, but I mean, he pinged me this morning at like 8 or 7 Central. Anyway, that was curious. That was like deja vu. I thought this game's been played.
Who won?
Jacksonville, I think, by 1.
Ooh. So you say there's a chance.
Yeah, came close.
There's always a chance in this game. I mean, come on. Tampa Bay went to the Super Bowl in PSAFL. Tampa Bay. Look at my roster. I don't know about that.
Well, in that league, the NFC has some of the same problems that the AFC has in this one, except more severe. There's a more lopsided effect. So, and you were in a division where you could succeed, and you were solid.
David Carr? I don't know. I mean, Carr was
I,
low percent, but yeah, it just shows you the game's unpredictable. Just kind of hang around.
well, I mean,
And
next year, I mean, look how many quarterbacks have gotten hurt. I mean, you know, being a Tampa fan, I've been arguing all year long in favor of Baker Mayfield, and people have sat there and laughed and scoffed and said they need to get rid of him and this and that. And you want to get somebody's head turning, just point out the mere fact that Mayfield's got a higher quarterback rating right now than Mahomes does.
Yeah, he does.
yeah, well,
Now,
yeah.
does that mean, you know, if I'm
Mahomes has no receivers.
receiver,
Yeah,
right?
Mahomes is really regressing. I mean, the funny story there, you could have probably had Jordan Love for a 5th-round pick. I mean, I don't know what Doug was asking, but he was trying to trade him for a long time.
Oh, he ended up getting a haul though.
I got a lot. I thought he got too much, but then Love is suddenly playing better than Mahomes.
Yeah.
So
I
who
mean-
knows? I'm just like, geez, if somebody wanted Love, you could have had him a lot cheaper than
Yeah.
that, I assume.
Yeah, but I've been watching Kansas City games this year, and their receivers drop a lot of balls.
Oh, I mean, I don't know how Tony has a job, but yeah. But
Ex-Gator. One of my ex-Gators out there.
So, what's your guys' predictions for the real Super Bowl this year? Who's going to be in it?
Washington over Michigan.
No.
That's the real football I watch more of than the NFL.
In the NFL, who's going to do it?
if the key
San
thing
Fran
for
and
saying,
and Baltimore, right? I don't know.
That's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
I, mean, yeah, I was going to say is if San Fran doesn't have any injuries, they're the class. This is like the San Francisco Invitational in the NFC. But that being said, look at who they rely on. Nick Bosa gets hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Chase Young gets hurt a lot. Brock Purdy got hurt last year. Trent Williams has been out some time. I mean, it all depends on whether or not their guys stay healthy through the playoffs. If they do, I don't see any team that can beat them in the NFC. AFC, I think it's the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Baltimore. I think it's going to be San Francisco, and I'm picking Baltimore to win. Not that I'm crazy about Baltimore. I just think that they're going to win a Super Bowl. Barring injury.
I feel like a real idiot for having traded Lamar Jackson last year. I was never been a Lamar Jackson fan. Watching him just dissect San Francisco, I'm convinced.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, you and the whole league, Joe, and nobody would sign him to a contract.
Yeah, I mean
And all these teams that need quarterbacks, nobody would sign him to a contract. And look now.
Yeah. Anyway, this show will be up for the PAFL owners to take a look at probably before the end of the evening tonight. So that's it for tonight's show, and we'll catch you next time whenever Joe and Calvin want to get together again. We'll do the next one. Talk to you later.
Thank you for hosting, Len.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Len.
You're welcome.
That's all, folks.
Nice.